Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2022-23 season. My name is Dan, and that wasn't in extra speeds. You weren't at 1.25. Sometimes I just like to speak quite fast. And today we are doing the tier list video for Game Week 13. Now, just a full disclosure here. I am recording this before the Wednesday games because there's so much to cram in. But I'm still going to give my best opinion possible, and hopefully things will still be fairly accurate come the deadline. At least I think they should be. Anyway, guys, if you enjoy this video, please do leave a like. Really helps out the channel. And do subscribe if you're new around here as well. Let's do the tier list. So guys, I've got 20 players on screen right now. These are the 20 most popular transfers in at time of recording. So that's just to be fair. Like, I'm not picking these players pick themselves to go into these videos. If your player that you're kind of looking at is not on this list, let me know in the comments and I'll try and address all of them if I possibly can. We're going to start off with the 20th most popular transfer in so far, all the way to the first most popular in these following categories: must buys, great transfers, optionals, bad transfers, and avoids. Let's start off with Van Dijk, who I think is, I don't know, is somewhere in the middle. Obviously, there's some good fixtures coming up for Liverpool. You expect that if they can get their defence sorted, then maybe there's going to be some clean sheets available. And Van Dijk is always like a boss at the corner headers and stuff like that. But I feel like I would maybe rather go for, I don't know, Trent Alexander-Arnold, just spend that extra bit of money. But if you can't afford to spend that money, then I guess Van Dijk is an option, like an alternative option. So I'm going to put him down into optional. I'm going to put him in here. Almiron, I'm going to put in optional as well. I feel like he's still one of the better players for his price, but I don't think he's anywhere near essential. Newcastle's upcoming fixtures aren't amazing, and I don't know if Almiron is going to start rotating a little bit. Isak's obviously going to be out until the World Cup, but we have got players like Sam Maximan coming back very soon, and Jacob Murphy has shown some really good form as well. So I wonder if maybe Almiron's going to get rotated a little bit, but he has been playing really well as well, so maybe he stays in the team most of the time anyway. He's pretty good for his price. The fixtures aren't great. If you're planning on playing him regularly, then maybe not, but as a rotation option, he's optional. I guess he's okay. Harry Kane, I feel like, is kind of optional as well. I wouldn't say that transferring in Harry Kane right now is a great transfer, but it's certainly something you can do. But I worry if you're getting in Kane, then, you know, you've got to sacrifice someone. You're not going to like sacrifice Haaland. Salah I prefer to Kane at the moment. I even prefer probably De Bruyne to Kane at the moment as well, even though, you know, we want to maybe go for some cheaper Man City players, some more, you know, I guess value for money Man City players, but I still do prefer De Bruyne. And there's some decent forwards that you want to be going for as well. And Kane does occupy one of those slots in a period where Spurs don't exactly have the most phenomenal run of games. So I don't know. I guess he's optional, but I don't think he's like a great transfer or a must-have right now. If you already have him, fine. Would I be moving to him now? Probably not, but it's an option you could do. Mitrovic, I think, is a great transfer. Got some great fixtures coming up. He is back in form. He's back in the team. He is playing well. He's on penalties as well. And he is the centre of everything that Fulham are doing. And even though Fulham are conceding a lot of goals at the moment, they're also scoring them, and Mitrovic is at the heart of that. So we really like Mitrovic. Cheap still, reasonably cheap, so budget-friendly, you know, occupying a forward slot. He is a good player. He's definitely a good FPL pick. I really would recommend getting him if you don't have him already. But at the same time, maybe we can find some other options that we would want even more. But Mitrovic is definitely a great transfer for me. Ben White, I also think, is a great transfer. You know, I actually think he's a decent player. I don't know if he's a great... Is he a great transfer? Not sure. He's definitely my favourite 4.5 million defender to go for, because you can get a 4.5 million defender nailed on, playing at right back. You know, for Arsenal, team at the top of the table, good defence, very decent fixtures as well, actually. And, you know, we talk a lot about those cheap defenders that we want to go for at the moment. Right now that the blank game week is out of the way for Arsenal, Ben White is now a really, really good option, and I actually really do like him. So if you are on the hunt for that 4.5 million defender, Ben White, genuinely, he is your friend. He's your best friend. He's not your best mate, though. That's me. Next up, Bobby Firmino, I think is probably optional. Let's see how much game time. I don't think he's going to be starting for Liverpool tonight. I'm not sure, but I haven't seen the lineups yet. But I imagine that he's probably not, judging by what I've seen online. So we'll see. But certainly, even if he gets rested tonight, then I think that makes him an even better option for Game Week 13 at the weekend. So it's a good fixture against Nottingham Forest as well. I kind of like Firmino. I think he is kind of high tier optional, and per 90 minutes, Firmino is an absolute monster. But the question always is minutes. How many minutes is he going to get? If he gets some minutes, then we like him a lot. So I'm going to put him in there. Gabriel Jesus has also got some great fixtures coming up. But one thing I should note on Jesus is he only needs one more yellow card. If he gets one more yellow card, he's going to get suspension. So the same thing as we saw with James Maddison in Game Week 12. We're going to see possibly the same thing with Jesus if he gets a yellow card anytime soon. So that's kind of a little bit worrying. And that does push him down the rankings a little bit for me. But he does still have very good fixtures. And I think like he is definitely a good player to go for. He's probably going to get you some points. It's just a question of can we go for someone different. I think I would prefer Firmino. I think I prefer Mitrovic, and there's a couple more forwards on this tier list as well today that I do prefer to Jesus. So I do recognise he is a good pick. He's a good option, but would he be at the top of my priority list in terms of forwards to go for right this second? Possibly not. Possibly not. But I do still feel like he is optional, and I feel like he is a good pick in general. Next up, Kepa. I don't know if he's a great transfer necessarily. The only reason I would transfer in Kepa is if I either really needed to save some budget. I hate my goalkeeper. I want to remove him. My goalkeeper's too expensive, or my goalkeeper sucks. In which case, make the goalkeeper transfer. Or if I'm on a wild card. Now, if I'm on a wild card, Kepa is like one of my favourite choices. The problem is with Kepa, although he's nailed on, although he's playing for a great team and great defence, the fixtures are not perfect, but the price that you get for him, he's the only nailed-on Chelsea defender, really. And really, to me, the only sensible way into the Chelsea defence. So it's really going to depend on your personal situation. I'm going to slap him like smack bang in the middle of optional, because I don't know if he's worth the transfer necessarily, but he is a good pick, certainly. Let's move on to Zaha. Liked him in the second half of the game last night against Wolves when he was playing slightly more centrally. Didn't like him when he was playing out wide, and I don't really know where what's going to happen in the future. Is Zaha going to play out wide? Is he going to be moving in, drifting into the centre a little bit more? In the centre, he's an absolute machine, isn't he? So I think he's a decent pick. He's on penalties as well. Would I call him a great transfer? Not necessarily. Are there other midfielders I prefer to him? Yes, there are. And the opportunity cost of going for someone like Zaha is that you may not be able to get some of the other players that I'm going to talk about later on in this tier list. So for that reason, it nudges him down into optional, I think. Otherwise, he would be a great transfer. But again, we're talking about opportunity cost. There are other players around his price bracket in the same position that I think are better, that I would not be willing to sacrifice for a Zaha, if that makes sense right now. If you already have Zaha, fine, but would I be bringing him in? That's the question. I think there's other options. Ebereche, Eza. Eza I kind of do like for his price. The difference between him and Zaha is that Eza is a lot cheaper, so he's not like occupying that same price bracket niche, and I feel like he's actually a really good way of downgrading one of your midfielders, so you can maybe upgrade someone else to kind of, save money here in order to spend money elsewhere. I think he's a genuine option for that double transfer. I think in that kind of sense, I think he's a great transfer. I prefer him to someone like Almiron. I think he's more nailed on. Obviously, we're seeing him on set pieces as well. And he looks a real player, and he's kind of fulfilling all the potential that we knew that he had. So, great transfer. Trippier, I'm going to put in... I'm actually going to put him in kind of probably low tier optional. I think if I'm buying Trippier, I'm not buying him this week. Like, I always say this, and I know people still don't understand. Like, some people still don't understand what I mean. But with defenders, I prefer to buy them when they have a good fixture immediately. So a player who one game week can be a must buy, and the next game week be optional. Maybe don't buy them this week. That happens all the time, and it changes from week to week. But this particular week, because of Newcastle's fixture, I can't really see Newcastle keeping a clean sheet in this one. So I think I have to say that Trippier is kind of low tier optional. He would definitely not be a priority transfer for me this week. He's a good player to have, but he's not like a must buy. If you don't already have Trippier and you're not on a wild card, I'll probably just leave it, to be honest, and get him another game week. So for that reason, I'm actually going to drop him down into bad transfer. I'm sorry, guys. I just feel like this is not the week to buy Trippier. I would use your transfers elsewhere. Again, we're talking about opportunity cost. This is not the week to buy Trippier. Next week is the week to buy Trippier again. There's good times and bad times to buy a player, and that can change week to week. I hope that makes sense, guys, but if not, I guess I can try and explain more in the comment section if you guys have any questions about that. Tony, I kind of like. His fixtures are okay, pretty decent. Obviously on pens, I just feel like I'm not 100% sold on Tony. I don't think I'm sold enough on him to put him into a great transfer. So I'm going to put him into optional. But again, he is a player I like in terms of forwards. I do prefer Mitrovic to him. Would I prefer Tony or Firmino? Possibly Tony, because he is nailed on. You've got that guaranteed 90 minutes. We've got some good fixtures coming up as well for Tony over the next 4 game weeks is really all we're looking at right now before the World Cup. And Tony overall in the next 4 has some decent fixtures. So I think I'm going to put him in optional. And we know with those attacking players, he can score against anyone. And I know you're going to say, well, what about Trippier? He can score against anyone, right? Yeah, he could grab an assist against anyone, but it's going to be harder in those tougher games. And I would rather just wait one more game week. But I know I'm going to get heat in the comments for putting Trippier in bad transfer, but I'm firming it. If you already have Trippier, obviously keep him. Let's try and move on from that. Cancelo, great transfer. If you don't have Cancelo already, if you didn't bench him, if you sold him before the blank, then I really would try and consider bringing him back. I'd put him even above Mitrovic. He'd be going right to the top of this list. Like him a lot. Mason Mount, I don't really like that much. I think he's like Zaha, but like worse. Like he's even more expensive than Zaha. The opportunity cost is he's just as bad as Zaha, and I don't think he's going to get as many points. You know, he's not the central hub of that Chelsea team. I think he's been fairly fortunate to get some of his FPL returns recently. I'm actually going to drop him below Trippier as well. I just don't. I still prefer Sterling at Chelsea. I know Sterling is much more expensive. Mason Mount is he's an okay player to have. But when we get to the final two players on this tier list that we're going to be talking about today, I'm not thinking about Mason Mount. Like, there is no way I'm picking Mason Mount over some of these other guys. The time to buy Mason Mount, if you were going to buy him, was last game week, the week before that. At game week 13, at this present junction, we need to be looking elsewhere, in my opinion. Next up, Saliba. And obviously, like, he's just White but more expensive. Like, maybe he's got slightly more, points potential than White just because of those set pieces. But White, can get the odd assist because he's playing at right back. I think Saliba is like optional, but I would save the money and go for Ben White personally. I don't think Saliba is worth 0.6 more than Ben White. So for that reason, I kind of can't put him as high in the rankings. Maybe I put him like here, someone like here, maybe here. Like there. I think that's probably about right for him. So yeah, Saliba, like, he's optional, but I'm not really thinking about him, if I'm honest. Like, again, like going back to the whole defensive dynamic, are we spending a lot of money on defenders right now? Or are we trying to spend a lot of money on defenders right now? No, not really. We kind of want to move off the expensive defenders, especially when Cancelo's coming back. We're looking at some Liverpool defenders now. We're looking at Trippier as well. A lot of us are going to have Trippier in our teams. Have we got the money to spend on Saliba, or would you rather get some 4.5s? I think I'd rather get the 4.5s personally. Right, Salah next. Is he a must-buy? Probably not. I don't think he's quite that high. I feel like he is a great transfer. I feel like he's the best great transfer of this tier list. I think he's the best one. I don't think he is quite a must-buy, but he's blurring that line between must-buy and a great transfer. I think after Haaland, I think he's the best premium to have right now. I'm a Salah owner, so by the time this video comes out, we'll already know what the Liverpool versus West Ham results was. I've got Salah as my captain, so who knows? Fingers crossed that goes well. Future Dan uploading this video. I hope you're feeling good about your Salah return, and if you're not, L's everywhere. Haaland next, must buy, obviously, no doubt about it. If you don't have Haaland, you're just in the mud. Captain him every game week up until the World Cup, and then captain him every game week beyond that. You have to buy him. If you don't, he is like just... I know a lot of you guys sold Haaland because he blanked in game week 12. Buy him back. Buy him back immediately. That is your number one priority. If you do one thing this game week, it's get Haaland back. It's such a priority. Anyway, moving on. We've got Martinelli. I think he's a great transfer. I kind of put him in the same kind of region as some of these guys. But most of you guys are going to have Martinelli either on your bench for game week 12 anyway. So you're probably not going to need to buy him. But if you don't have him, that's your budget, then maybe go for him. Saka, Again, I'm going to put him in the regions of must-buy. I'm going to put him like here. He's I'd say just behind Salah. I think he's a better buy than Cancelo right now, potentially, as well, which is really saying something. Saka's been in phenomenal form. He's on penalties as well. Arsenal, as a team, are in great form as well. So everything is really clicking. And we've got these great fixtures for Arsenal as well. Saka is definitely one of those players at that 8 million-ish price bracket that you definitely want to be going for. That's why I was kind of saying about Zaha is kind of optional, not really sure about him. That's why I'm saying, like, Mount, I'm not really feeling Mount either. So that's kind of just because if you get a Zaha, if you get a Mount, it means you can't get Saka. And that's not a good thing. And that's even a worse thing because it means that you can't get Foden, who is my second must-buy. So we actually got two must-buys in this video. Foden, if you've already got Haaland in your team, you didn't transfer him out, your number one target this game week is Foden. I have to say it. The number one targets in general, Haaland, Foden, Salah, Saka, Cancelo, Martinelli. Basically, Man City and Arsenal players that you may have sold. Maybe it's plus Salah as well. But you know, for the standard team, the template team, I know a lot of you guys are going to have these players already, but you may not have Foden right now. He is your target. He's playing so well. He is nailed on. He is, you know, doing even better with, like, next to Haaland. He's getting more opportunities himself because, you know, Haaland is being more tightly marked and there's more focus on Haaland. But he's also being able to create more because he has got a player to pass to who is like an absolutely insane elite finisher in the Premier League. So everything is going very well for Foden. He's worth every penny of that 8.3 million, especially now that he's nailed. We always knew that Foden, whenever he got a regular game time, was a fantastic FPL asset. This season we've seen him be nailed on, and that's what was missing. And that key detail, now that we've got that, we've got a phenomenal FPL asset that after this blank, we just want to have this player on our team. So must buy, Phil Foden, get him, absolutely. There we go. That's going to conclude the tier list. I've been pretty generous today. There's no one in bad transfers. There's no one in avoids. There's only 2 players in bad transfers. Maybe I could have been a little bit harsher in this video, but I decided to be nice. But I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to disagree with some of these as well. So let me know in the comments which players you think are in the wrong place, and tell me why you think they're in the wrong place as well, because I'm always really interested to hear some of your reasoning and some of your logic to why you're picking different players, because we're all playing this crazy game of FPL in a slightly different way. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you wouldn't mind leaving a like on the video before you disappear, that would be so appreciated. It really does help out the channel so much. And do subscribe if you love FPL content just as much as I do. We've got loads more to come this week, of course. We've got my team selection. We've got buy, sell, keep, avoid. I'm going to do a strategy stream as well. Loads to talk about, absolutely loads. The strategy stream I'm particularly looking forward to, and we'll do that after the Thursday fixtures, immediately after those games concluded. But there we go, guys. That's going to be it from me today. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I will see you later, mates. Bye-bye.